What if everything you believed about being lazy was a lie? What if I told you that the problem was never your discipline, your motivation, or your willpower, but the instructions your mind has been running on? That every time you called yourself unmotivated, unproductive, or inconsistent, you were misreading a signal, not diagnosing a flaw. The war you're fighting isn't because something inside you is broken. It's because something powerful in you hasn't been awakened yet. I've studied the men who reshaped the world, men who didn't just achieve success, they manufactured it. Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Charles Schwab. These men weren't born with drive, they engineered it. They didn't rely on emotion or inspiration. They didn't wait to feel ready. They became unstoppable by changing one critical thing, their identity. And that's what we're doing. Right here, right now. This isn't just another pep talk, this is a mental reset. A system-level reprogramming of how you see yourself, how you act, and who you become. If you've ever said, "I know I was made for more," but felt stuck. If you've seen yourself in the mirror and felt the gap between your vision and your habits, then this message is yours. I'm not here to inspire you temporarily. I'm here to help you recode your system so that laziness feels unnatural and action becomes who you are. Discipline isn't a character trait, it's a byproduct of alignment. And the first domino is belief. Belief that your current patterns aren't permanent, they're programmable. Your subconscious, which controls 95% of your behavior, doesn't listen to what you wish, it listens to what you repeat. It listens to identity, it listens to command, and until your self-story changes, your life won't. Big dreams, small action, loud ambition, quiet execution. But that ends now. Today begins alignment. No more calling yourself lazy. From this moment forward, you speak and act like a man who knows the truth. You were never lazy. You were misaligned. So don't watch halfway. Don't let this run in the background. Stay locked in, because this isn't about motivation. It's about ritual, fire, identity, and we start building that now. Let's be clear, laziness is not a flaw. It's a message, a signal that your internal system is either underpowered, misaligned, or emotionally disconnected from your mission. The problem is, most men never ask why. They accept it. They believe the lie, "I'm just lazy." But laziness isn't your nature. It's a misfiring, a miscalibrated operating system. Rewire the system, and you become unstoppable. The greatest men I studied didn't wait to feel ready. They moved, then momentum followed. Carnegie started at the bottom, a bobbin boy working 12-hour days for $120 a week. He didn't love the job, but he moved. He repeated, and repetition built identity. Ford wasn't born an inventor. He was a farmer's son who saw a vision and acted, not out of passion, out of decision. He didn't wait for energy, he created it. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That's not a quote. It's a blueprint. Belief creates movement, not the other way around. When the subconscious doesn't. Believe your goal matters. It shuts you down. Not because it hates you, because it doesn't trust you. So don't fight laziness. Erase the story that created it. Most ambitious men live in contradiction. They dream big but act small. Admire discipline but never install it. They react instead of build. And here's the truth. No one will install it for you. Not an app, not a book, not a routine. Because discipline isn't found. It's forged in decision, in repetition, in rejecting the old story and writing a new one. Your subconscious obeys certainty. It hears what you say with conviction. Say, "I'm lazy," and it believes you. Say, "I always quit," and it programs that. But say, "I am a man who executes no matter how I feel. I do the hard thing daily because my mission demands it. I no longer ask my mood for permission." Repeat that, feel that, program that. This is not theory, it's psychology. The science of autosuggestion, the principle behind Think and Grow Rich, and every transformation I've studied. Edison failed 10,000 times, but never quit. Not because he was special, but because his belief system refused to. He didn't hope. He decided. Now it's your turn. Say it. I am not lazy, I am untrained, and I train daily. I am not inconsistent, I follow through. I am not a quitter, I build power through repetition. Say it until your internal voice changes its tone. Laziness is not identity. It's outdated code, and code can be rewritten. Charles Schwab once said, "A man's greatest tool is his ability to decide and act again and again without apology." He wasn't the smartest in the room, but he moved, acted, repeated, and became indispensable. So I ask you, what if laziness was never a weakness, but a signal? What if it was saying, I need a new identity, I need a new emotional why, I need a better system? The man who repeats power becomes power, so begin now. Every morning, speak your identity aloud. Every time you hear the word lazy in your head, interrupt it with fire. Every night, reflect not on your feelings, but on your actions. That's the measure of a builder. The man who acts because his identity demands it. Now let's go deeper. Let's build your execution identity, because the men who changed the world didn't rely on emotion. They built structure. They lived by systems that didn't ask, how do I feel? But what must be done? This is the trap. Believing discipline starts with motivation. It doesn't. It starts with ritual. Take Ford. He didn't build the assembly line on a good day. He built it because he stopped waiting for one. The system ran regardless of emotion. He ran himself the same way. Genius isn't built in inspiration. It's built in iteration. Disciplines like energy plus clarity plus structure. Energy, protect your sleep, fuel and focus. Clarity, set goals you believe in. Structure, trigger systems that move you before hesitation speaks. Stop waiting to feel clear at 10 a.m. Wake up and trigger identity before the world gets loud. Start with 3 simple steps. Wake up, don't check your phone. Speak one sentence aloud. I am a man who moves regardless of mood. Now, let's begin. The man who moves before his emotions catch up rewrites his destiny. Do one hard thing, right now, not to prove a point to the world, but to prove to yourself that you are in control. Because every action you take isn't just effort, it's reprogramming. Each time you move without waiting for motivation, you suffocate the old version of you. Each time you speak belief out loud, you silence the skeptic inside. Each time you show up when no one's watching, you strengthen the identity that cannot be shaken. This is how real discipline is forged, not in occasional bursts, but in patterns that repeat. Take Charles M. Schwab, Carnegie's trusted right-hand man. Not because he had the highest IQ, but because he had consistency, and consistency is presence. He didn't visit the factory once and call it leadership. He showed up daily, walked the floor, noticed details, praised effort. He enforced standards, not occasionally, but relentlessly. Why? Because his power was structure. His weapon was repetition. That is your path now. Stop calling yourself lazy. Start calling yourself in training. Stop waiting for the feeling. Start acting because your mission demands it. Internalize this. Discipline is not an emotion, it's a system. Repeat that until it lives in your bones, because the man who acts without asking permission from his emotions becomes unstoppable. Now here's the warning most men never get. If you don't design your structure, your surroundings will design one for you. And it won't be a system of excellence. It will be a system of distraction, of delay, of checking your phone 37 times before lunch, of waiting until it's urgent to move, of calling reaction productivity. That's the system that builds average, but you're rewriting that. Code, you're installing execution, and here's the rule, daily first. Anyway, daily until it becomes your instinct. First, before the world adds noise. Anyway, regardless of your mood, energy, or comfort. 1 week in and your mind shifts. 1 month and your self-image transforms. 3 months and the man who once called himself lazy is gone, replaced by the architect, the decision maker, the leader. That's who you're becoming. And it all starts with one move, without waiting to feel ready. Now let's rewire your reward system. Make execution feel better than avoidance. You're not lazy. You've just trained your mind over years to associate ease with success. Hit snooze, you feel relief. Skip the gym, you feel comfort. Avoid the call, your fear momentarily disappears. And that fleeting relief, that becomes your false reward. It feels good in the moment, but it costs you identity. Comfort steals conviction, ease steals strength. Emotional safety sabotages transformation. And transformation requires new reinforcement. So, let's ask the real question. Not, how do I stay motivated? But how do I change what I celebrate? Let me give you a model. Andrew Carnegie didn't move men with money alone. He moved them with identity. He made them feel like builders, contributors, warriors of progress. He praised initiative. He celebrated risk. He rewarded courage. He didn't just pay for labor, he invested in belief. That's what you must do for yourself. Stop rewarding ease. Start rewarding bold beginnings. Make starting before you're ready the new dopamine. Make doing it without applause your new applause. And here's the technique. Create a ritual after every hard task. Say it out loud. That's who I am now. Write it down. Today, I starved the old self. Breathe in deeply. This is the fire that's building my future. These aren't cliches, they're commands, because your subconscious listens most clearly right after motion. And your identity is built not by thought, but by what follows action. Let's revisit Thomas Edison. He failed more publicly than most men will ever try. But after every setback, he didn't say, "I'm not enough." He said, "That method doesn't work." Failure was forward motion, because he reframed it. He trained his mind to see the process as proof of progress. That's what we're doing now. You're not grinding harder, you're wiring smarter, you're attaching pain to procrastination and pleasure to progress. Here's a powerful method. When you do the thing you usually avoid, working out, making the call, building instead of scrolling, pause after. Place your hand on your chest. Say one sentence, "This is my new pattern." Why? Because in that tiny window after execution, your mind is moldable and your nervous system rewires what it repeats. Let's return to Schwab. At just 35, he was running US Steel, not because he was born a leader, but because he became one through repetition. He linked reward to pressure. He craved challenge. And when resistance showed up, he didn't retreat. He leaned in. Then he said to himself, "I was made for this." And that sentence solidified every act of strength. Now it's your turn. No more, "I'm lazy." From this moment forward, your identity declaration is, "I do the hard thing. I move first. I choose progress over pleasure." Say it after every act of courage. Say it when it's uncomfortable. Say it when no one claps. Because you're not chasing greatness. You're building it one move at a time, and every delay feeds the old you. Every action builds the new you. Now let's go deeper. Let's break the excuse loop for good. But a man must choose. Who does he truly want to become? Will he be the dreamer of strength, or the one who moves with power even before he feels fully prepared? Let me speak directly to your soul. You don't need more time. What you need are fewer justifications. You don't need a boost in confidence. You need to act, and action done repeatedly becomes identity. So here is your practice. Every morning, write down the 3 most critical actions of the day. Not the convenient ones, the hard ones, the ones that provoke fear, the ones you keep pushing aside. Then commit not to completing them perfectly, but to initiating each within 2 minutes of when you planned. Do this daily, and something remarkable begins to shift. Your brain stops bargaining. It starts obeying. You become the man of action, not intention. This becomes your new internal language. I act swiftly. I trust momentum over mood. I destroy hesitation with motion. The more you live this, the less space doubt will have to exist. Engrave this principle in your mind. Hesitation trains disobedience. Action trains alignment. Say it aloud. I move. I act. I eliminate the excuse. There comes a defining moment in every man's life when he must stop negotiating with his past self. Not gently, not politely, but with fire. Because if you always leave a back door to your old ways, your former routines, your familiar comfort, then change will always be optional. And anything optional is eventually abandoned. The most transformative men I've studied, the industry shapers, the life rebuilders, they didn't merely step into new futures. They severed the past. Not because the past was evil, but because it was irrelevant. And in doing so, change stopped being a possibility. It became a necessity. Let me tell you about Hernán Cortés, the Spanish explorer whose decision perfectly illustrates this law. When Cortés arrived in Mexico with his outnumbered force, he understood the danger of hesitation. So he gave an unthinkable order: burn the ships. He erased the option of retreat. There was no turning back, only forward, only victory or death. That is the level of resolve you must adopt. Because if you leave even a sliver of access to who you used to be, that version of you will always call you back. You'll hit snooze. You'll slip back into safety. You'll make excuses just this once, until they regain their hold and become identity again. But when you sever the tie, when your actions declare there's no returning, you're left with one direction: forward. Andrew Carnegie understood this. Before he became a titan of industry, he was just a poor messenger boy earning a few dollars a week. But even then, he was investing in reading, in self-education, in a vision beyond his circumstances. He refused to accept that his origin would define his end. He didn't just dream of greatness. He wrote it down every morning, every night, repeating his chief aim until his subconscious could no longer coexist with mediocrity. Before his reality changed, his mind evolved. So when doors opened, he didn't hesitate. He moved. He formed. Alliances, created value, and detached from anyone who anchored him to his previous identity. That is the act of burning the bridge. Now you must ask, what still links me to the man I no longer wish to be? Is it the small talk with unambitious friends, the indulgent habits, scrolling, oversleeping, half-starting? Is it the language you still use? I'm not disciplined. I've always struggled. If so, it's time to burn it, not in anger but with conviction. Declare this: that version of me has lost the right to vote. Henry Ford once said, "If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got." That's not just a clever quote, it's a law. And the only escape is to eliminate the option to repeat your old behavior. Here's the practice I call the bridge burning ritual. Write down 3 specific things you will no longer permit into your life. Not vague ideas, concrete behaviors. For example, I no longer hit snooze. I no longer eat past 9 p.m. I no longer explain my goals to mockers. Write them in bold ink. Speak them out loud each morning. Then eliminate the triggers of your past self. Delete the apps that steal your focus. Cancel the subscriptions that drown your ambition. Block the websites that waste your time. Stop replying to those who belong to a chapter you've outgrown. This isn't about bitterness, it's about clarity. That's how Thomas Edison moved. He didn't wait for inspiration to strike. He structured his world until genius was inevitable. His laboratories were filled not with distractions, but with tools. blueprints, systems, and failed attempts. He engineered his environment so thoroughly that even when tired, his ritual carried him, and it worked. Now you must build the same. Ask yourself, what makes my past self too easy to return to? Identify it, then remove it. Today, not someday. Because every time you tolerate an old pattern, you cast a vote for the identity you're trying to bury. Say this now: I burn the bridge to who I was. I walk forward only. My identity is no longer up for debate. It is sealed by decision. Repeat those words, then act on them. Let that fire carry you, because once retreat is no longer an option, the only direction left is greatness. There comes a moment in every man's journey when he must choose: remain loyal to the version of himself that feels safe, or rise into the version of himself that feels true. And that moment rarely arrives with fireworks. It shows up quietly, in the mirror, in the silence between distractions, in the weight of knowing that who you are today is not yet who you were created to be. And that weight, that pressure in your chest that won't let you rest, that's not anxiety, that's your potential screaming for resurrection. You see, greatness never yells, it whispers. It whispers through conviction, through discomfort, through the aching hunger to become more. And the question is no longer, can you hear it? The question now is, will you answer? Because this is not about motivation anymore. This is about embodiment. Becoming the man who no longer needs to be reminded who he is, because he walks in it every single day. Let me tell you something no one told me. Freedom doesn't come from achieving more. Freedom comes from becoming disciplined enough to own your mind, your habits, and your emotions before the world tries to shape them for you. You don't rise by accident. You rise because you built a code, and you followed it when no one was watching. Here's what that code sounds like. I do not negotiate with weakness. I do not delay what I was born to build. I do not bow to comfort, because comfort has never made me proud. I rise before the sun, because my mission doesn't sleep. I speak truth, even when silence would be easier, and I finish what I start, especially when it hurts. Now imagine what your life would look like if you lived by that every day. Not perfectly, but relentlessly, every morning, every night, no matter what the world threw at you. Imagine the fire that would ignite in your eyes, the calm certainty in your voice, the unwavering confidence that comes not from arrogance, but from alignment. Because here's the reality. Power doesn't come from pretending you're fearless. It comes from moving forward while carrying your fear like a stone in your pocket. You don't throw it away. You use it. You train with it. You let it become your weight vest. And eventually, it becomes your weapon. You must become a man who is too dangerous to doubt himself, not because he's perfect, but because he has trained for war in the silence of discipline. And make no mistake, this is war, not against the world, but against the voice inside that says you can't, you're not ready, maybe later. That voice, that's the ghost of your former self, and it only dies when you outgrow it, when your actions no longer match its expectations. So build new rituals, speak new language, create new environments that reflect the man you are becoming. Wake up earlier, read deeper, move heavier, speak clearer, think sharper, love harder, focus longer, and above all, stay in the fire longer than your old self ever could. Because in that fire, your identity is reforged, not borrowed, not rehearsed, reborn. This is the season where you no longer seek permission to lead. This is the season where you walk into rooms with presence, not noise, with direction, not distraction, with a mind made of steel and a heart made of purpose. Let the world wonder how you did it. Let them whisper. Let them doubt. You won't need to explain, because your consistency will be louder than their opinions. Your discipline will become your legacy. And one day you'll look back and smile, not because it was easy, but because you never quit. You made a decision, and then you became unavailable to anything that didn't align with it. There's a moment in a man's life when the external chase loses its thrill. When the applause fades, the numbers mean less, and the spotlight doesn't feel like home anymore. It's not that you're failing. No, on the outside, it still looks like you're winning, but deep down, something shifts. You begin to sense that real victory doesn't come from being seen. It comes from being unshakable. You start to crave something more powerful than achievement. You crave alignment, not with the world, not with trends, not with other people's approval, but with your own higher nature, the part of you that's been buried beneath the noise, the pressure, the expectations, that deeper part of you that remembers why you were born, that still voice that says, there is more in you, and it's time. You begin to understand. Power isn't loud. Power isn't force. Power is stillness under pressure. Power is showing up with such certainty, such clarity, that your mere presence shifts the temperature of a room. That kind of power can't be faked. It can't be borrowed. It's earned in early mornings when you rise before your excuses, earned in cold showers that strip away comfort, earned in late nights when no one sees the work you're doing, earned in the moments you silence the world just to listen to you, earned when you keep your word to yourself, even when no one else would know you broke it, because that is what separates a man who chases validation from a man who walks in dominion. See, the world is full of men who talk, men who dream, men who plan but never move, men who post quotes, share inspiration, and get high off temporary motivation. But collapse the second pressure shows up. You were not born to be one of them. You were born to build something that outlives you. But hear me, you cannot build legacy with the hands of a coward. You cannot shape the future if your mind is still held hostage by the past. You cannot lead others into strength if you haven't first conquered the war inside your own head. The enemy is not your circumstance. It's not your lack of resources. It's not the people who left or the ones who don't believe in you. The real enemy is the version of you that keeps waiting for the perfect moment to rise. That version must die. That man who makes excuses instead of commitments. That man who numbs himself with distraction. That man who hides behind potential but refuses to endure the pain of becoming. That man must be buried, not with shame, not with guilt, but with authority, with intention, with honor. You do not need more chances. You need more conviction. You need to speak to your soul and declare, enough running, enough pretending, enough acting like the man you're becoming isn't already inside you, because he is. He's just waiting on you to stop negotiating your greatness in exchange for comfort. Let me remind you, you don't get this life back. You don't get these years back. Every time you delay your transformation, you invite another day of regret. Another day of silence when you should be speaking. Another day of staying still when you were designed to move mountains. You weren't created to blend in. You were created to pierce the darkness with your discipline, to command your thoughts like a general in battle, to show up when it's inconvenient, to speak truth when it's unpopular, to build when no one believes, to hold the line when weaker men retreat, to lead without applause, without needing to be seen, without bending under pressure, because that's who you are, not someday, now. But understand this. Transformation is not poetic. It's not romantic. It's violent. It's surgical. It rips apart your comfort zone and exposes every fragile belief you've clung to. It humbles you, breaks you, strips you of the lies you've used to protect your weakness, and if you survive it, if you stay the course, you come out forged, sharper, wiser, dangerous, not to others, to your old self. You become the kind of man who doesn't chase. He draws. He doesn't beg, he builds. He doesn't hope things will change. He decides that they will. He becomes unavailable to anything beneath his standard. Unavailable to low conversations, low energy, low ambition. Unavailable to drama. Unavailable to excuses. Unavailable to quitting. That's the man the world is waiting for, not the man who's perfect, but the one who refuses to stay lost. So wake up early and sit in the silence. Listen to the fire within you. Train like you're preparing for war, because you are. Not a war of bullets and blood, but of principles and purpose. A war for your legacy, for your family, for the men watching you in silence, wondering if it's still possible to rise with honor in a world addicted to shortcuts. Let them see you rise. Let them feel the weight of your discipline. Let your habits scream louder than your words. Let your results testify on your behalf. Let your mindset become a fortress that no storm can breach. And when doubt returns, because it will, welcome it. Sit it down and remind it, I know. Longer serve fear, I serve purpose, and I will not be moved, because this is not a trend, this is not a season, this is a lifestyle of unbreakable men, and you have already been chosen for it. Now choose yourself. Great men are not shaped by the moments they shine, but by the moments they repeat. The unseen, uncelebrated repetitions, those are the fires where power is forged. You must understand this. Your habits are the script of your becoming. And if you do not write that script with intention, it will be written for you by emotion, by noise, by weakness. What you say to yourself in solitude is the seed of your future. Water it with fear, and you will reap hesitation. Water it with courage, and you will harvest strength. Do not wait for motivation. Do not rely on feeling. Train yourself to act in absence of comfort. Say the words anyway. Move anyway. Because the man you are building will never arrive by chance. He must be constructed through conscious repetition, through daily declarations of your intention, spoken with fire, felt with force, and reinforced with discipline. When I stood across from Carnegie, his eyes were not fixed on me. They were fixed on who I could become. He said, the mind must be led or it will be dragged. That was the moment I realized that leadership is not only something you offer to others, it is something you must offer to yourself. Every morning, you are faced with a choice, to drift or to direct, to listen to fear or to command your spirit forward. Those who build empires begin by mastering minutes. Every hour ruled by purpose compounds into years ruled by destiny. Do not be fooled by the busy. The world is filled with men who work endlessly and accomplish nothing. Why? Because they work without aim. They respond to pressure instead of commanding priority. The man of power does not chase tasks. He completes missions. He does not scatter his energy. He concentrates it like a beam of light, cutting through the fog of distraction. You must do the same. It begins with language. Speak the words of the man you are becoming, not the man you've been, not the man others expect, but the man you choose to build. Say them aloud even when you tremble. Say them especially when doubt is loud. That is when the rewiring begins. That is when the transformation takes root. You say, I am focused. And though your mind may rebel, keep speaking. You say, I am a man of vision. Even if your past screams contradiction, keep declaring it. You say, I move with purpose. And over time, your actions will rise to meet your words. Let this be the rule of your mornings. Before the world speaks, let your voice be the first to declare the truth of your destiny. 10 minutes of silence, 10 minutes of command. Not noise, not prayer for ease, but direction. Speak your definite aim aloud. Remind your mind of its orders. And then ask yourself one simple, unwavering question. What is the highest action I can take today that brings me closer to that man? That one question will strip away the false urgency, the meaningless distractions, and the detours that look like productivity but lead nowhere. You must protect your mind as a king protects his throne. Do not entertain every invitation. Do not respond to every opinion. Guard your energy with the seriousness of a soldier. Focus is not a suggestion, it is a requirement. The man who wins is the man who resists scattering, who narrows his field, of attention, until every drop of his will is pouring into the construction of his destiny. There will be critics, there will be confusion, there will be moments when you question the path, but those moments are part of the cost. Stay the course. Let the world call you stubborn, let them call you obsessed. They will name you strange until they see your results. Then they will ask how you did it, and your answer will be simple. I did not divide, I decided. Look at the lives of builders, those who shaped industries, changed cultures, moved nations. What do they all have in common? They were not driven by comfort. They were not governed by applause. They were animated by one thing: purpose, repeated and repeated and repeated, until even failure bowed to their momentum. That is now your charge. Speak it again. I am disciplined. I am unwavering. I do not entertain the lesser path. I do not dance with distraction. I do not allow emotion to dictate my movement. I am not ruled by comfort. I am ruled by conviction. Say it louder when you feel weak. Say it longer when you feel tired. That is how warriors are built. Not in battle, but in belief. Not in explosion, but in repetition. Your identity is a house built brick by brick, word by word, act by act. Lay the next stone. Speak the next truth. Walk the next mile. Do not wait to feel worthy. Prove your worth with every forward motion. And when the crowd cheers or remains silent, when the reward comes or delays, do not alter your pace. Your purpose is the compass. Let nothing turn your head. Now picture this: a man in the storm, soaked, cold, aching, but unmoved. He does not stop to explain. He does not turn to complain. He walks, because his direction was chosen long before the wind began. Be that man, and every morning remind yourself, I am not made of reaction. I am made of resolve. Let the repetition begin again. Let your new identity take deeper root. Say the words, walk the path, and never, never give your attention to what does not serve the man you are becoming. Do not wait for approval. Speak as if it's already yours, because your voice is not mere opinion. It is a declaration, a command. Charles Schwab didn't rise through heritage or inheritance. He rose because he walked, talked, and moved like a man who knew where he was going. He projected certainty, he transferred belief, and that belief reshaped industries. What could your certainty build? What future is waiting to obey your voice? If only you would speak with the authority of someone who already possesses it. So hear this clearly. From this moment forward, you will stop rehearsing your fears. You will stop echoing your doubts. You will no longer participate in conversations that validate your limitations. From now on, you install belief. You rehearse strength. You sculpt your identity through relentless repetition. Repeat this, not once, not when convenient, but daily. Because your identity is not a decision you make once. It is a structure you build brick by brick, line by line, word by word. Say this with power. I do not speak defeat. I do not repeat fear. I speak victory. I am building the man I am becoming. Say it again, louder, because the voice you obey most often becomes the voice that leads your life. The man who rewires his self-image reprograms his entire path. Repetition is the scalpel of transformation. It shapes belief. It crafts identity, it sharpens clarity, and whether you know it or not, you are always practicing something. You are either practicing discipline or defaulting to comfort. You're either rehearsing strength or reinforcing excuses. There is no neutral. The man who claims to be ambitious but walks with laziness isn't lacking ambition. He's simply rehearsed disconnect. He dreams with force, but his daily rituals are misaligned, inconsistent, emotionally reactive. And those subtle daily misfires? They're writing scripts into his subconscious, sabotaging his momentum. But here is the turning point. Repetition is not final. It is fluid. It can be rewritten. You can seize the wheel, you can reclaim the rhythm. When I studied the giants, Carnegie, Ford, Edison, Lincoln, Schwab, I didn't just find men of impact. I found patterns, habits, rituals, structures. They weren't flawless, but they were consistent in thought, in behavior, in purpose. Take Henry Ford. He didn't change the world by accident. He changed it through repetition. Each morning, the same mission, progress. He didn't refine machines only. He refined thought. He removed distractions. He eliminated clutter. He systematized simplicity. That is repetition with direction. Ford once said, "Thinking is the hardest work there is," which is probably why so few engage in it. He didn't mean mind-wandering. He meant deliberate thinking, daily meditation on a defined objective. Then there's Thomas Edison, the man who failed 10,000 times and still never failed. Why? Because he never rehearsed defeat. He rehearsed solutions. He practiced persistence. He reframed failure until it became nothing but a feedback loop. He said, "I've not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's not ego. That's engineered identity, the kind you must now build. Begin every morning not with hesitation but with certainty. Speak aloud your purpose, not casually but as a declaration. Own the air around you. Walk like the man your future requires. Shoulders back, chin up, move with conviction, speak with clarity, choose with speed. Let your posture preach louder than your words. Discipline will do the talking, and when it gets hard, don't escape. Train. Don't wait. Build. For repetition turns pressure into precision, and once discomfort becomes default, nothing can stop you. Now look to Abraham Lincoln, a man forged not by peace but by war. Every day, new conflict, every moment, fresh fire, yet he practiced calm. He rehearsed patience. He trained clarity, vision, silence. He didn't lead through chaos. He conquered it by anchoring himself in practiced stillness. He was not great because of genius alone, but because he created an inner law stronger than the world's noise. That, my friend, is the power of internal repetition. If your external world is out of control, it's because your inner rhythm is untrained. To destroy laziness, don't wait for motivation. Build systems, wake at the same time, move with routine. Eat like a warrior, think like a strategist. Don't chase novelty. Chase identity. Charles Schwab wasn't the most technical mind in Carnegie's empire, but he was the most focused. He practiced the basics, taught his team the rhythm of mastery. He removed distractions, trained fundamentals, kept his mission narrow, and in doing so, became irreplaceable. You must do the same. Don't seek more, refine less. Don't get louder, get clearer. Do fewer things, but do them well. You're not broken. You've just been rehearsing the wrong script. But that script can be burned and rewritten. Say this now. I rehearse power until power is my instinct. I train through rhythm, not emotion. My identity is sculpted by what I repeat. Let this become your law. A law repeated daily. Because repetition is not glamorous, but it is godlike. It is the unseen force behind every empire. The tool wielded by every man who rose from obscurity to legend. Repeat this message daily. Repeat your convictions nightly. Repeat your vision until it becomes your reflection. And one day soon, you will stare into the mirror and see a stranger. The weak man gone. The consistent man revealed, and in that moment you will remember he was always inside you, buried beneath doubt, waiting for the rhythm of repetition to bring him back to life. So let us end this journey not with noise, but with conviction, with the clarity of identity. If you've absorbed this message, you are no longer the man who began reading it. You've crossed the threshold. You've left behind the one who waited for motivation, and you've awakened the one who builds without. Remember this truth. Laziness is not your nature. It is not your flaw. It is simply the side effect of misalignment. And now that you've seen it, you can burn it. You don't need another dream. You need patterns that match the one you already Carry, you don't need hype. You need rhythm, fire with structure, motion with repetition. You've now learned from Carnegie, who installed belief like architecture, Ford, who practiced precision until efficiency replaced hesitation, Edison, who redefined failure as a tool for repetition, Lincoln, who calmed chaos through internal stillness, and Schwab, who moved giants with clarity and simplicity. They had no smartphones, no comfort, but they had discipline, and they repeated it until destiny obeyed. Now it's your turn. Repeat this message, not once, but until it becomes indistinguishable from your own thoughts. Speak your new laws every morning. Let them become blood. Let them become identity. Let them burn the hesitation out of you. And do not stop. Not when it's hard. Not when you're tired. Not when the fire dims. Because this is how legacies are built. This is how laziness dies. This is how power is born. You are not the man who hesitates. You are not the man who disappears. You are the man who builds. Say it now. I repeat power. I rehearse greatness. I act without permission. I do not wait. I become. This is your fire. This is your rhythm. And the world will watch as you become unrecognizable.